In today's video, we're once again focusing on the 2023 World Junior Championships taking place in Atlanta, Canada, Moncton, and Halifax. Today, we're focusing on who I feel are the top 15 players that you should be watching and paying most attention to. We'll discuss those players coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we're focusing on some top players in this 23 World Junior Championship tournament taking place in Moncton in Halifax here. As I record this video on Boxing Day, December the 26th, we've already had some action. We had an upset earlier today to start the tournament with the Swiss upsetting Team Finland 3-2 in overtime. And we had Sweden versus Austria is already underway as well. Last I seen that score, it was still a scoreless game in the first period, but that likely has changed and will change before this makes it onto YouTube. So as I mentioned, we're focusing on some of them. I've made a list here basically of what I feel are the top 15 players for a variety of different reasons. I'm not saying these are the top 15 most skilled, most talented. I just think these are the top 15 players you should be paying attention to. They're all for a variety of different reasons. Some of them have to do with what they're already looking to prove after being drafted. Some of them are draft eligible prospects. Some of these guys are 2023 draft eligible prospects as well, looking to make a further name for themselves. And there's some of them that are getting different roles based on the countries they are from and are participating for. So let's take a look here. Number one is going to be Conor Bedard. Conor Bedard should be a player you watch closely and really enjoy the entertainment. Conor Bedard will put on a show for Team Canada. He, of course, is a projected 2023 first overall pick. He certainly came on strong near the end of Canada's pre-tournament play. Had a pretty good showing last year in the World Junior Championships before it was abruptly canceled, and of course even afterwards in the summertime. So of course I know at one point he had, I think before the tournament was canceled last year, he had, I think it was a 4-goal game, I do believe. He was a phenomenal talent. Has a wicked shot, one of the best you'll see, probably the best in this tournament. He shoots at a level comparable to with a lot of top NHL players. There's no doubt he'll be first overall. It will be highly entertaining to watch. But if you're interested in the 2023 draft, or you're one of those fan of a team who's going to be in the hunt for the lottery, then you want to pay attention to him for sure. Next up is his Canada teammate and Team Canada captain Shea Wright, now a member of the Seattle Kraken on loan after playing in the NHL a bit this year and spending a little bit of time in the AHL on a conditioning stint. Of course, he slipped to 4th overall, and I think he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder and a lot to prove here. Shea Wright, like I said, I don't think he was too happy about dropping not only from 1st overall, but all the way down to 4th. We saw the stare and glare he gave the Montreal Canadiens draft table after he was finally selected by Seattle in the draft. And like I said, I think he's got a lot to prove to show that he should have went first, and it's going to continue to show that he was the guy in that draft. Of course, he didn't play a lot of hockey, around the last year or two. He's starting to get some action this year, and I think he's got a lot to show. Next up, we have Devils prospect and USA team captain defenseman Luke Hughes, of course, the third Hughes brother to complete the trifecta in the NHL, following in the footsteps of his brothers Jack and Quinn, playing in this tournament for Team USA. 4th overall in 2021, expected to be a dominant player on the blue line, pitch in offensively, and be a good leader for the Team USA. If you're a Devils fan or just a fan of the family or the Team USA in general, you're going to want to pay close attention. However, as a bit of a bonus entry here, I do have 15 players on this list, but I wanted to mention another American-born defenseman as well in this tournament that just might upstage his captain, and that's Habs prospect Lane Hutson. Now, there's certainly, he's having a phenomenal season himself, getting a ton of attention, playing in the U.S. college hockey, and very well could outshine his captain from an offensive perspective. Of course, Lane Hutson is a smaller defenseman. Sometimes that size goes against him, but it's going to be interesting to see what he can do and if he'll kind of steal the spotlight from some of the higher draft picks on that team. Of course, you got Logan COOLEY, of course, also from Team USA, selected 3rd overall to the Coyotes last year in the 2022 NHL Draft. Logan COOLEY should have a major opportunity to play a big role offensively for the American team, who are expected to be one of the tournament's powerhouses and have a shot at a gold medal. So Logan COOLEY, the future in Arizona, certainly interested to keep a close eye on him. Next up, we got Swedish forward, and I think the best Swedish player, and that's Bruins prospect Fabian Lysell. He was a 2021 first rounder. To me, will be one of the top offensive catalysts on that team. Certainly going to play a steady top 6 role. Of course, he's back this year. He was drafted in 2021, so this will be not his first time at the tournament. So Lysell to me is one of the few real blue chip prospects in the Bruins organization. So if you're a Bruins fan or you like watching the Swedes, he's going to be a player you certainly want to watch closely here as well. Next up, we got Columbus Blue Jacket prospect and the number 6 overall pick for the 2022 draft, defenseman David Jiricek of Czechia. Now, Jiricek did have an issue with his sticks and equipment arriving for this tournament, but I did see shortly before recording that everything has arrived, so he should be okay in that sense. I was a little surprised to see him arriving so late for the tournament. I'm not really sure the exact rationale behind all that. Certainly wasn't there for pre-tournament stuff, but Jiricek should be good to go. I know at the tournament last time around, he did suffer an injury last winter, and really couldn't see him as much as we were hoping for. So we'll see what the defenseman can do here for his country. The other top defenseman in the 22 draft as well was with number 2 overall, Simon Nemec, another Devils prospect. Certainly want to watch him closely as well. The Devils and Devils fans will be getting a glimpse of 2 of their top defenders for many years to come at this tournament. Both Hughes and Nemec are both expected to be, not only NHL players, but really, really good NHL players, and very well might even form your top pair down the road. It's quite possible. And at this point in time, you still have some other interesting fairly young defenders like on the Devils blue line. So might be a while before they get paired together, but a big glimpse into the future there for New Jersey for sure. We're going to hop over to the New York Rangers and back to Team Canada for our next prospect, and that's 2021 first rounder Brendan Othmann. Othmann gives you a variety of everything. He's definitely going to stick out to you on Canada's roster. He's certainly one of your more physical players, not afraid to go hard to the net. He's going to give you some net front presence, deflections. Certainly a player that, to me, has a lot to prove. I think it won't be long before we see Othmann in the NHL. I think the Rangers are really going to like this guy. He's just a really tenacious forward with a lot of offensive skill, decent size, and he will get noticed. He'll be a player who gets under your skin, drives the other team a little bit crazy while being a catalyst for the offense as well. Philadelphia Flyers prospect Cutter Gauthier, taken 5th overall last year in the 2022 draft. Also, will be an interesting player to watch for Team USA. The big question around him, I think the Flyers drafted him with the hopes that he will become their future number 1 center. I know he was going into college hockey, going to be developed as a center, and it'd be interesting to see how he does and where he slots in this U.S. lineup and what the odds are of how things are trending are developing towards him being that. There's certainly no rush to get him into a Flyers lineup, given where that team is at right now. And Gauthier, to me, likely stays in school for another season, but we'll see where that goes. Jets prospect Brad Lambert for Finland, to me, is an interesting player to watch. Of course, he's played in a men's league for quite some time, so he's used to playing against older, more mature players. So theoretically, he should be able to dominate at this type of tournament. I know last year we've seen kind of a tale of 2 players in a way. I had certainly a game or 2 where you could see where he drove a lot of the offense, but then at the same time, we also saw times where he was awfully quiet. So be interesting to see how things go for him. Of course, he was the 30th overall pick in the first round last year. Could even be sent to junior himself. He's playing in the American Hockey League, given the fact that he's technically a European prospect. So he's eligible for the American Hockey League. Of course, he has 1 parent Canadian, 1 parent from Finland, which is why you get the Lambert name. And you probably, some of you, if you're not familiar with that, might be saying, wow, Lambert's not a Finnish name, and it's because it's not. He's half Canadian in that sense. So he could be loaned. His draft rights are in the CHL are owned by the Seattle Thunderbirds, who are a really solid junior team in the WHL, who are expected to be one of the top teams out there to challenge for the WHL championship and maybe even make it to the Memorial Cup. So, it could be a good opportunity for him to really have a long playoff run and see what kind of role he can play with them. But they may feel it's better for him to stay in the AHL given the fact he's played against men for so long. So we'll see what the future holds for Lambert and how this tournament can do for him. It's his 3rd time at the tournament, but fortunately for him, it's the first time really experiencing a full normal tournament, given 2 years ago there was no fans, and then last year, of course, it was mostly done in the summertime after getting rescheduled to August after the winter cancellation. Next up, we have LA Kings prospect Brandt Clarke, who did not get on Team Canada's radar early in this season for this tournament, but certainly a player who made the NHL and got himself on the tournament roster now. It's kind of surprising to many that Clarke wasn't getting more attention here, but he went into NHL training camp, impressed the LA Kings. He stuck around there and appears to have a real bright future. He's certainly a great puck-moving offensively gifted defenseman, good skater, taken in the first round in 2021 here by the Los Angeles Kings. So I think he can be a real force for Team Canada. Another American forward, that's the Senators prospect in 2021 prospect, first rounder Tyler Boucher. Him I find interesting for a couple other reasons. He could be a dominant force for the Americans, but then again, he may get a different role. Now, of course, he went into play U.S. college hockey after getting drafted. Things did not go well. He has since shifted from college hockey to Canadian junior hockey. He's playing for the Ottawa 67, so right in the backyard of his NHL team of the Senators. And this year, he's doing phenomenal under head coach Dave Cameron, putting up some great numbers, real physical force. And for me, it'd be interested to see how that'll do now on an international stage. Will he be able to be that forceful player, or will he be more of a depth player that's not really, making a big impact? We'll be curious to see for his development how that goes. Next up, we got Swiss defender LIAN BICHSEL, of course, the 6'6" defender, Dallas Stars prospect. He's an absolute force and was a big part of the reason why the Swiss were able to beat the Finns in the first game of the tournament with a bit of an upset and surprise there. He's just so big and strong. He was drafted, I believe he was listed as 6'4" to 6'5". Now he's showing at 6'6". An absolute beast back there, and could be a real great pickup for Dallas down the road here. Of course, you get undrafted player, just like Conor Bedard, Leo CARLSSON, trying to make a name for himself right now, expected to be a top 3 pick in the draft. Along with Fantilli and Bedard and CARLSSON to me. And Fantilli is another name I could have put on this list as well. I just think the Canadian team is so deep, I'm not sure that he's going to get a chance to be able to prove as much as some guys. But Leo CARLSSON for the Swedes, trying to show that maybe he should be number 2 overall, not number 3. And at the same time, he's playing on the top line to start the tournament for the Swedes. And to me, he'll get more of an offensive assignment and more of an offensive line mates. So I think Leo CARLSSON will be a very interesting name to watch in Sweden. Now for Austria, Marco Kasper unfortunately is not in the tournament. He was not loaned by his team, he's playing in Sweden this year. So he's not at this tournament. But defenseman David Reinbacher, to me, could be a player who kind of grabs the attention for Austria. There's certainly lots of other guys within this tournament I could have put on this list here as well. So I'm sure there's going to be comments saying, what about this guy? What about that guy? There's all kinds of talented players, which is why it's such a fun tournament to watch. I could have went on here all day and listed, 30, 40 players if I really, really wanted to. I'm trying to keep this to a reasonable amount of time, and there's some top players to keep your eyes on in case you're not already familiar. So certainly let me know your thoughts on these players. Any other names you're anxious to see how they do or interested to watch? And give me your reasons and rationale down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll be covering this tournament as well as all 32 NHL teams to keep you up to date with all the news and rumors from the entire world of hockey. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.